And so we move on to public participation. We have a public forum. And could I invite David Lynch from Momentous Public Relations Limited to make a public forum presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If I could just deal with a small procedural matter, I've obviously received last minute notice to be here today, and I've realised that in the preparation of my commentary, I've failed to include a specific acknowledgement of a particular piece of consultation that I was involved in, where the council actually undertook a process of stalling and proper engagement. And if I could seek your leniency and perhaps standing orders to be suspended to allow me to speak a little bit longer, I would like to acknowledge that before getting into the formal address. Is that possible?
Sorry, I'm unclear as to what your request is.
Okay, my request is simply this. Obviously, you're aware that I've made several requests to be here, a deputation that was declined, and then the opportunity for the public forum. However, last night, I appreciate that on reflection, this council has reflected and allowed me to be here today. In the rush of preparing for this, I failed in my documentation to make a specific reference to a particular piece of consultation which I want to hold up and applaud the council for. However, there are some issues in respect of this other matter. So I'd like to seek your indulgence to perhaps have a little bit more than 5 minutes.
Oh.
And I'm aware that under standing orders you can suspend the standing orders.
No, that's it's a resolution of council. I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I'm going to an extra 30 minutes, or are you talking about an extra minute?
Well, as you're aware, I sought 2 deputations for 10 minutes each.
No.
I'm asking for.
I'm sorry. The deputations were for a notice of motion.
Yes.
And the standing orders don't allow for deputations on a notice of motion. So you've been invited to participate in the public forum on the basis that you're not speaking to the matter concerned.
Let me put it more diplomatically, Madam Mayor. In the past, you have allowed public forums to go beyond 5 minutes. I think given the late notice I received to be here today, with the greatest respect, I do not believe your indulgence in allowing me to speak longer is not an unreasonable request. And I'd be interested to hear if the other members agree with that or not. Yeah, I have a handout. I suspect I can get through this in 5 to 7 minutes.
Okay. 5 minutes.
Sorry. Yes, 7 minutes is fine.
Thank you. Okay, right. I do have a handout, which I will gladly have circulated. Thank you very much. Right, thank you so much again, and thank you for allowing me to speak today. In respect of why I'm here, I have been involved in some preliminary discussions with a variety of parties that have an interest in this matter, and I've also been providing some specific advice to a party in respect of seeking a deputation. Thank you, however, for allowing me to speak on reflection in respect of the purpose of being here. However, before doing so, I place on record the fact that my deputation request to address the full council in respect of item 6, Wings to Wheels cycleway notification, was declined. I also requested on behalf of the party similar deputation and of course the public forum. But we are here, and so I'll get straight into it. Given the limitations of time to prepare for this public forum, I want to address the full council regarding the consultation, council's compliance with its statutory consultation obligations under the Local Government Act 2002. Regrettably, there is a reoccurring and concerning pattern regarding the council's process in respect of council's proposals requiring public consultation. It is my understanding that the Local Government Act requires proposals necessitating a public consultation process to be formally ratified by the full council before undertaking public engagement and inviting submissions. Furthermore, the Council's consideration of options is required before the Council determines its preferences for a particular option prior to public consultation. All of these options are nevertheless required to be presented for consideration in the public consultation process. When the Council does not fulfil these statutory obligations, the public can perceive that the proposal is perhaps fait accompli, a done deal, a so-called public consultation, have your say, to be nothing more than a tick-the-box exercise where the public can simply lump it or leave it. I say that, but I appreciate that is not your intention, but that is the public perception. Public trust and goodwill can be built up over time by ensuring that there is a genuine commitment by the Council to engage with those consulted in compliance with the relevant statutory requirements. Failure to do so places this Council, and any Council for that matter, at legal challenge. I now quote an interesting Court of Appeal. I won't go through it all, but it simply says this: councils must allow sufficient time and a genuine effort must be made. It is a reality, not a charade. The concept is grasped most clearly by an approach in principle. To consult is not merely to tell or present, nor the other extreme to simply agree. Consultation does not necessarily involve negotiations towards an agreement. Uncommonly can follow, etc., etc. I won't go beyond that. You can read it for yourself. When the public perceive that there is no use in participating in the Council's so-called public consultation as a result of the Council's non-compliance with these statutory obligations, we are witnessing a failure in democracy. And sadly, as one person said to me today, and contacted me last night also, this is where we are. Right now, in my professional experience, we are facing a death of democracy. However, in my professional experience, I wouldn't be here today, Madam Mayor, Madam CEO and councillors, if I did not believe there is still hope to save this and show some respect and regard to the many people that sadly have had to turn to the media once again out of complete and absolute frustration that for whatever reason there is a resistance to understand that people have a right to be treated fairly and in accordance with the principles of natural justice. I'll allow you to read various references I've made, but I'll continue. Furthermore, there is an inconsistency evident when one considers the council process undertaken in respect, and this is very important, the Heward Road, Gardners Road, Breens Road intersection, undertaken in May, June of 2019. The process there for a smaller piece of work, I think, was pretty fair and reasonable. You sought a lot of information. You put out a lot of information in terms of costs. None of this appears to be relevant in respect of what you're trying to do over a major difference. Preliminary advice I have received strongly suggests public consultation in respect to the proposed wings and wheels should be undertaken consistent with the requirements under the Local Government Act for the special consultative procedure. Not to do so would suggest this council is operating possibly ultra vires. Provisional council feedback. I am grateful, having attended the drop-in centre, which people thought was going to be a more formal presentation, that staff have come back to me, and I applaud them for doing so. However, I am still challenging information that Mr. Rainey has sent me in respect to the consultation. Now for the most important part. To you, Madam CEO, I'm submitting the following related questions, and these are made to you in accordance with the Local Government and Official Information Act. Notwithstanding Joe Daly's written communications to me, on what legal basis was the Mayor relying on in her decision to decline my deputation request in respect to the agenda item? Similarly, notwithstanding Joe Daly's written communication to me in respect to the public forum, I ask the same question. The third question, would you please provide the council's policy setting out the process in respect of the full council's prior approval of a draft proposal before it releases for public consultation under the Local Government Act? Number 4, it appears that the council has failed to meet its obligations under the Act to undertake the special consultative procedure in the case of the Wings and Wheels proposals. If she, the CEO, is satisfied that the full council has in fact done this, can she provide the evidence in respect of supporting that view? Number 5, given the inconsistencies identified between the public consultation on the Harewood Road, Gardners Road, Greens Road...
Mr Lynch, thank you. That's your 7 minutes has been concluded. Thank you. And I can see that the additional questions have been provided in writing, and they will be answered by the Chief Executive Officer under the provisions of the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, councillors, for your indulgence.
Thank you. And could I now invite Scott? And Scott, I'm really sorry, but pronouncing your surname. Sorry? Franisovic. Come forward, please.
You'll never win at Malfeasance Incorporated.
We live in hope, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you. Morena, Madam Mayor, thank you for your indulgence to speak to the meeting today, and thank you, councillors, for the opportunity to speak. Look, I'd just like to thank the previous speaker for some of his points. They centre in around of some of what I wish to speak about, but maybe a little bit more clear is what I wish to share with you this morning.
Thank you.
So look, the recent events that have taken out in our community have motivated me to share some of the things that I heard from the community of Harewood when I stood for council in the last local body elections. So it became clear to me that vital information was being withheld from the community by a council that clearly doesn't share the information easily or simply for people to access, which creates this perception of a lack of transparency that many members of the public are talking about. Many of whom also knew very little about our consultation process, how it works, what it's designed to do. So I don't think that you can expect people to participate in something that they don't know is happening in a number of cases, or they don't actually understand. Now, it comes of little surprise to me that when Wheels to Wings was announced a couple of weeks, that many people were left pretty confused and actually pretty fed up with this council. Many whom that I'd spoken to during the election about Wheels to Wings weren't even aware the thing was on the long-term plan. I ask everybody who was in the room here before the elections, why is it that you allowed $100,000 of hard-earned ratepayer money to be spent designing and consulting a set of traffic lights that was quite clear would never be achieved without these cycleways? And even further, these cycleways were omitted from the design of these traffic lights. All this has achieved is more damage to the confidence that people have in the council, and wasted more of their money of which I'm sure many of the elderly residents in our community could better do within their pocket. This week, we're seeing an example of the failure of the engagement process, and media and amongst many members within the community. We're hearing about them being forced with cycleways onto them. But actually, the real issue is why children cannot ride safely to school and why they can't safely cross Harewood Road. That's the real issue, and we're not talking about it. Surely if this engagement process is effective and worked, there wouldn't be such strong sentiment in the community about an anti-cycleway or anti-car approach. I would request that the elected members here today take all necessary steps to ensure that any current consultations occurring are robust, engaging, and demonstrates that council operating in good faith by taking note of what submitters say in this process. And finally, I just might add, please don't allow the politics that are being played by our elected members to put back these much needed safety improvements to allow further delay and more money wasted. Because just because they want to play politics, we shouldn't allow that to get in the way of delivering decent solutions or decent representation to that community. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Scott. That's much appreciated. The next is Kira Foley from School Strike for Climate Christchurch. Oh, sorry, you've got someone else with you as well.
I'm here too.
Sorry? Alfie Smeel. Sorry, it's not written in front of me. It's my fault.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
Kira, I'm Alfie and this is Kira. We're both high school students and members of School Strike for Climate. We believe climate change should be at the forefront of all the decisions made in this council, and that we believe that making more cycleways will improve our climate emissions.
And 53.1% of Christchurch's emissions in the Greater Christchurch Partnership report of 2016 comes from transport. Cycling is an effective way to lower emissions and something that will keep our country within its zero carbon bill goals.
We have a responsibility to current and future generations to ensure our planet is livable in the future. We must invest in a sustainable future for Ōtautahi and the world. It is our responsibility and this council's responsibility to make changes now. Cycleways are a small change, but they are a change, and they will give us the ability to lower our transport emissions.
And finally, and it feels like this one should be a given, but in 2019 this council declared a climate emergency. And although small, the development of cycleways will have a big impact on our emissions. Even the Climate Commission says we must double our cycling numbers if we are to succeed. Climate change is an issue we need to move fast on. If we do not, Ōtautahi as a whole will feel the consequences. We cannot afford to delay the planning and therefore the building of our cycleways. We are in a climate emergency and we need to act like it. We implore you to continue building and consulting on our cycleways to move us towards a safer and greener Ōtautahi. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for your time. It's much appreciated. Next we have Jeffrey King.
Thank you for the opportunity to address the council. It's the first opportunity I have had since the last meeting last year, when this council approved 21 point something million, or maybe 22 million, to fix the odour problems at the CCC, at the OPP. You people did not listen. You did not listen to what the council staff was saying. They said it will not fix the problem. Period. 22 million down the Avon. You've wasted it. They're going to pump more air in, make it more air in, more air out, more odour. We are sick and tired of it. Please close it tomorrow. Send the stuff up to Cape Valley. Every day. No, December, 4 days without odour. We didn't get it, somebody else got it. It's not good enough. You sit round here, you don't listen. You won't engage with us personally. You come up with all these fancy ideas. It's not going to work. You need to shift it. And you need to listen to what the staff are saying. They conned you. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you.